These are turbulent times.
There's a reason Rhaenyra looks absolutely terrified in the episode 7 trailer. And it's not just about losing battles or losing her throne. The penultimate episode is about to reveal something that will shatter her entire world. A secret that Daemon has been keeping from her. A dragon that should be dead but isn't. And a daughter who's about to be exposed for the one crime that could destroy everything she's fought for. By the end of this episode, one queen will be broken, one king will finally have hope, and one family secret will come crashing down in a way that changes the entire war. We're at the turning point of House of the Dragon's 3rd season. Everything that's been building since Jaehaerys' death is about to explode. Rhaenyra has been spiraling since she lost her son, and now she's running a war from a throne she can barely hold on to. Aegon, on the other hand, has spent the entire season broken and defeated, hidden away while his enemies grow stronger. But the trailer for episode 7 shows something nobody expected. A shift in power. The moment we've been waiting for is finally coming, and it's going to happen in ways that are going to devastate everyone involved. This isn't just another episode of political scheming and battle strategy. This is the moment when secrets explode into the open, when hidden truths become impossible to ignore, and when the decisions made by those we trusted most come back to haunt them. The Dragon Pit is about to become the center of everything, and the dragons themselves might be the most important pieces on the board. The penultimate episode has always been the strongest in Game of Thrones lore, and episode 7 is setting up to be absolutely brutal. But what's fascinating about this moment in the story is that the real battle isn't happening on traditional battlefields. It's happening in the shadows, in the choices people make when they think nobody's watching, and in the lies that are starting to crack under pressure. Let's start with what we know. Rhaenyra is cracking. She's been in a constant state of panic since losing Jaehaerys, and now she's lost even more. She's lost her sons. She's inherited the throne at the worst possible time during a war she never wanted. And unlike her father, Viserys, she didn't get the luxury of peace. She walked into chaos. The trailer shows her tapping her finger nervously on the throne, looking like she has absolutely no control over the situation. This is the most telling moment in the entire trailer because it shows her mental state. She is not the confident queen she's trying to project. She's terrified. But here's where it gets interesting. Daemon has been keeping something from her, something massive. When soldiers come to report seeing something strange, when they describe a shadow of a dragon moving through the countryside, Rhaenyra is going to understand what it means before they even finish their sentence. Rhaena, her daughter, has taken Sheepsteeler, and Daemon knew. He protected his daughter over his queen and his wife. That betrayal, that moment when Rhaenyra realizes that the man she trusted most has been lying to her face while she's been making impossible decisions to protect the realm, that's the kind of moment that breaks people. And then there's what comes next. Rhaena is going to be discovered. Her secret is going to be exposed. And with that exposure comes the revelation of something even darker. Rhaena was responsible for Jaehaerys' death. The child wasn't killed by green conspirators or noble houses playing politics. The child was killed by Rhaenyra's own daughter in an act of desperation and rage that has spiraled into this entire war. That moment of truth, that realization that everything Rhaenyra has been fighting for, everyone she's lost, has all happened because of a secret her own family has been keeping. That's not just a plot twist. That's a fundamental destruction of everything Rhaenyra believes about herself as a leader, as a queen, and as a mother. The trailer hints at this through Orman High Tower, who appears to have a piece on the board that will bring the Savage Queen to her knees. The theories suggest it could be Ulf and Hugh defecting, bringing more dragons to the Greens. But there's another possibility that feels even more devastating. It could be him knowing the truth about Jaehaerys. It could be him having the evidence, the confession, the proof that will shatter Rhaenyra's credibility entirely. And if that comes out during the war, during a moment when morale is everything, it could be the single most devastating blow to the Black's cause. The episode opens with the Dragon Pit in King's Landing getting a key focus in the trailer. This is not accidental. This is the story telling us that dragons are about to become the decisive factor in everything that happens next. And there's a specific reason for that. We have multiple dragons scattered across the realm in unusual circumstances. Sheepsteeler has gone rogue with Rhaena. Vhagar is missing, and nobody knows where Aemond has taken that dragon. Sunfire is supposedly dead, but Aegon, when he visited the dragon, felt what he believed was a heartbeat. And then there's the subtle moment in the trailer when an orange glow illuminates in front of Aegon at what appears to be nighttime. Could Sunfire have actually survived? Could the dragon that Aegon thought was dead actually be coming back to life? In the source material, the books, Sunfire wasn't actually dead. The dragon and Aegon retreated into the forest with a damaged wing, recovered slowly, and waited. The show might be following a similar path here. Aegon touched Sunfire, possibly awaken the dragon, and now there's a possibility that the king has his dragon back. But here's the detail that most viewers are missing. Even if Sunfire is alive, the dragon is wounded. A fully recovered Sunfire is no match against a healthy Vhagar. But that's not the real problem for Aegon. The real problem is that Aemond and Vhagar are somewhere out there, and Aegon doesn't know where. In war, information is power. Dragons are devastating in their raw, destructive force, but they're even more devastating when they're unexpected. When they arrive at the moment when you least anticipate them. That's what makes Vhagar such a weapon for the Greens right now. The element of surprise. The fact that nobody knows where it is or what Aemond is planning means that every moment is tense. Every decision is made under the cloud of potential disaster. And then there's Silverwing and Vermithor. These are dragons that have been relatively dormant in the conflict, but if Ulf and Hugh are truly considering betrayal, if they're truly feeling like they've been confined and used by the queen, then those dragons could flip sides. And if that happens, the entire balance of power shifts overnight. You go from a situation where the blacks have a slight advantage in numbers to a situation where the greens suddenly have overwhelming dragon force. But the hidden detail that's going to matter most is this. The way the trailer uses fire imagery, the way it focuses on the dragon pit, the way it keeps showing dragons, suggests that the next major turning point in this war is going to be determined by which side controls the dragons and which side can use them most effectively. This isn't about armies anymore. This isn't about political maneuvering. This is about raw, devastating power. And whoever controls that power controls the war. There's a moment in the trailer where Orman High Tower says he has a piece on the board that will bring the Savage Queen to her knees. And this is where the theories start to get really interesting, because we honestly don't know what this piece is. But the possibilities are fascinating and terrifying in equal measure. The first possibility, and probably the most obvious one, is that Ulf and Hugh betray the Greens. These two have been complaining all season about being confined, about their lives being constrained, about feeling like they're being used as tools rather than being respected as dragon riders. Their frustration has been building, and if they flip sides and bring Silverwing and Vermithor to the blacks, that would actually severely weaken Orman's position. So that probably isn't what he's talking about when he says he has a piece that will bring Rhaenyra to her knees. The second possibility is darker and far more likely. What if Orman knows the truth about Jaehaerys? What if he's found evidence or gotten testimony that proves that Rhaena, Rhaenyra's own daughter, was responsible for the death of the royal heir? What if that's his piece on the board? Because here's the thing about that possibility. It's not just a military advantage, it's a psychological weapon. It destroys Rhaenyra's credibility as a leader. It proves that her own family is capable of the kind of treachery and desperation that the Greens can use to paint her as unfit to rule. It turns her greatest strength, her family loyalty, into her greatest weakness. Think about what that moment would look like. Rhaenyra is already unstable. She's already paranoid. And then Orman reveals that not only did her own daughter kill the heir, but that her husband Daemon has been protecting that daughter instead of supporting his queen. That's not just a piece on the board. That's checkmate. That's the moment when Rhaenyra's entire support structure collapses. But here's another theory that's worth considering. What if Alf and Hugh don't betray them to the blacks? What if they betray them to Orman and Aegon? What if they bring their dragons to the Greens, giving Aegon an overwhelming advantage? Because the trailer does show them as crucial pieces in what's coming. They're shown looking at something being spotted, they're shown as witnesses, and if they're witnesses to Rhaena being spotted with Sheepsteeler, and if they report that to Rhaenyra, then they've just handed her the confirmation of something that's going to tear her apart from the inside. The reality is probably a combination of all these theories. The piece that Orman is talking about might not be just one thing, it might be the convergence of multiple pieces coming together all at once. The exposure of Rhaena, the betrayal or defection of dragon riders, the revelation of truth, and the moment when Rhaenyra realizes that the people she trusted most have been keeping secrets from her. Now let's talk about what's actually going to happen in episode 7, based on what the trailer is showing us and what the context of the story demands. This is where everything converges, and this is where we need to understand that the penultimate episode isn't going to resolve the war. It's going to set up the finale by raising the stakes to levels that feel almost unbearable. First, Aegon is going to encounter Sunfire again. The trailer shows him looking surprised as an orange glow lights up in front of him. This is the moment when the king realizes that his greatest companion, the dragon that gave him hope when he had none, might still be alive. This could be transformative for him. This could be the moment when Aegon stops looking defeated and starts looking like a man who might actually have a chance at victory. But here's the crucial part. That hope is going to be bittersweet because Sunfire is wounded. And even with his dragon back, Aegon is going to have to face the reality that he's still in a losing position against a fully healthy Vhagar with Aemond at the helm. Second, Rhaenyra is going to be visited by Alicent. Not just visited, but confronted. Alicent has been at Harrenhal, and she's been sent there by Rhaenyra to do something truly horrifying, to kill her own son, Aemond, to murder her child in order to gain freedom for herself and Helena. But when Alicent arrives at Harrenhal and encounters Aemond, something shifts. The trailer shows them speaking, and there's a moment where Alice the Witch speaks a warning. There's a fog that surrounds her. She's come to do you some evil. And this is where it gets really dark. There's a real possibility, one that the trailer strongly suggests, that Aemond kills his own mother. Alicent comes to murder her son, and her son, whether because he believes Alice's prophecy or because he sees his mother's intent, turns the tables. He kills her instead, and this would be absolutely devastating for multiple reasons. It would prove that Alicent's sacrifice, her willingness to commit filicide in order to save Helena, was for nothing. It would mean that her death accomplished exactly what she was trying to prevent, leaving Helena without her mother to protect her. It would be tragic and poetic and absolutely brutal in the way that only Game of Thrones storytelling can be. And third, Rhaenyra is going to visit Helena in her sickbed. Helena is barely holding on to life at this point. Since the death of Jaehaerys and Maelor, she's been in a state of complete despair. She stopped eating. She stopped caring about living. And if Alicent doesn't return from Harrenhal, if Helena loses her mother as well, she's going to have nothing left to live for. The paranoia and desperation that Rhaenyra is experiencing right now means she's going to use every tool at her disposal to try to wring information out of Helena. She knows that Helena is a dragon dreamer, that she has visions, and so she's going to demand that Helena tell her everything she's seen, everything she's dreamed about the future of the war. But Helena, broken and traumatized, might not have answers, or worse, she might have answers that Rhaenyra doesn't want to hear. The climax of the episode is going to be built around several crucial moments converging simultaneously. We're going to see Blackwood forces moving toward either King's Landing or Tumbleton, showing that the Blacks are trying to consolidate their position. We're going to see dragons in the sky, with Sheepsteeler finally being exposed and seen by green forces. We're going to see Aegon reaching his breaking point, questioning whether he's doing the right thing before he encounters Sunfire. And we're going to see Rhaenyra at her absolute lowest point, realizing that her own family has betrayed her, that her daughter has killed the heir, that her husband has been lying to her face. The episode will probably end with Sheepstealer's roar echoing across the realm, a reminder that dragons are the real power in this world, not queens or kings or their political machinations. And it's going to set up the finale in a way that makes it clear. The Battle of Tumbleton is coming. The final confrontation of this season is coming, and nobody is going to survive this war unbroken. So there you have it. Episode 7 isn't just another step in the war. It's the moment when everything breaks. When Rhaenyra finally understands the true cost of the choices her family has made. When Aegon finally gets a glimpse of hope, even if that hope is fragile and wounded. When secrets that have been buried since the beginning of this conflict finally explode into the open. And when dragons, the true masters of this world, remind everyone why they're the most dangerous pieces on the board. The penultimate episodes of Game of Thrones have always been legendary. The Reigns of Castamere, The Watchers on the Wall, Battle of the Bastards, The Bells, The Long Night. They've always been the moments when the story shifts irrevocably, when characters reach their breaking points, when nothing is ever the same again. And Episode 7 of House of the Dragon Season 3 is shaping up to be one of those moments. This is the episode where the war stops being political and becomes personal, where the consequences of every choice made throughout the series finally come due. But here's what I want to know from you. What do you think is actually in Orman's pocket? What do you think is the piece on the board that's going to bring Rhaenyra to her knees? Do you think Aemond kills Alicent? Do you think Sunfire is truly alive? And what do you think happens to Rhaena when Rhaenyra finally finds out the truth? Drop your theories and predictions in the comments below. And if you want more House of the Dragon breakdowns, theories, and predictions, make sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you don't miss a single video. The finale is coming, and we're going to break down every moment of it.